Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jen Liss, the podcast that's here to help you free yourself from the crap that's holding you back so you can claim the life you're meant to live. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we are going to talk about putting down the limitations and stepping into your unicorn magic. Let's dive in. Hi, friends, it's Jen. At the time of recording this episode, I'm in the midst of this amazing event that I'm hosting, 3-day event, Unleash Your Magic. And it's so much fun to have all of these people gathered in a room talking about our boundless capabilities, our joy, following our joy, really stepping into our truth, our purpose, and doing it with passion and with power and having the courage to just say, yes, I am finally stepping into this. I'm stopping playing in the limitations. I'm not going to play in that sandbox anymore. I am going to step into the realm of possibility for myself. And that is what this beautiful coaching client of mine, Amanda, has done this year. So Amanda, as she'll share in this episode, is a podcast listener who was listening to my podcast and was like, the time is now for me. This is the perfect time. And she had the courage to book a call with me and then say yes to joining my program. And I'm so freaking glad she is because, first of all, she has changed my life. She's amazing. And she's going to be part of my next program because she's a Reiki master and she offers beautiful Reiki. And I cannot wait for the people in this program to get to experience that with her and to get to see her step in all of these new ways. And really the most beautiful thing about it is watching a person follow their joy, watching as we shift out of limitation, we shift out of the negative thinking, the patterns that we are so used to feeling and thinking in, and start to shift into what would feel so good, what would feel so joyful, what would feel so free for me, what uniquely feels so good to me, and the magical ideas and opportunities that you start to say yes to, and the things that you start to notice you're saying yes to now that don't feel good, that you realize, holy banana bread, I get to put these down. I don't need to be doing that anymore. I can shift into this instead. That's exactly what she has begun to do over the past 5 months. This changes your life. It completely changes things. And it's not some Pollyanna bullcrap. It's real. You can start to shift into more joy, into more alignment. Get yourself into alignment. We're misaligned. We don't realize how misaligned we are. One of my own mentors shares this amazing analogy for our misalignment. Like when you go to the chiropractor and they put your body into alignment, it feels really off. And they're like, oh, your hips are shifted. And then they put you into alignment. Sometimes it doesn't feel right. They're like, no, it was better before. And they're like, oh no, your hip is like 2 inches shifted to the left and forward. And when they put it back, you're like, ooh, wait, what? I don't know. That can happen to us when we start to shift into joy. We're like, I don't know about this. This doesn't feel right. Nobody else around me is doing this. Nobody else around me can feel this like internal tug that I'm feeling. And yeah, it's true. Nobody else can feel your alignment. Only you can feel your alignment. Only you know what is true for you. And so it might feel a little bit weird at first, especially if we're so focused on the outside world and what they might think about what we're doing. Yeah, it does feel really weird. It can feel kind of scary to us. Now, Amanda is a coach, so she has done so much growth on her own and has been able to implement things in these really, really powerful ways. And if willing, everybody can have this kind of transformation for themselves. Every single person on this planet can step deeper and deeper into your alignment. And when you do that, it becomes so easy to be courageous. It becomes so easy to feel confident. And when you do hit a dip, we talked about dips last week. When you do hit a dip, it's okay. You can have compassion for yourself. You're like, oh, it's okay. This is just a little bit of resistance that I'm coming up against. Now I can shift my focus back into the joy, back into the flow, back into the love that I know I am meant to be creating here in the world, to the better that I know can be brought out into the world, because that's what your gifts are here for. We are each here to make the world better in some beautiful way. And doing that brings us so much effing joy. It truly does. It truly does. So if you are ready to step into your joy, to finally say that huge, courageous hell yes, even if you've done coaching programs in the past, even if you have gotten blocked in the past, even if you're like, I don't know if I can push through this, you can. I promise you 100, 1000% you can. It might take a little bit of embodiment work, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching embodiment in this program, helping you get out of the mind, get into the body where your body holds memory. Listen to this conversation that I have with Amanda about energy work and about getting into your body. It's so important. So this program that I'm offering, Made for More, it offers mindset coaching, offers strategies so that we can help you to lean into joy, to step into joy. You're going to learn all of the amazing knowledge and information that you need to learn and the steps to take along the way. And you're going to get breath work. You're going to get 12 weeks of mindset work combined with breath work. And then you get ongoing breath work for 6 months, y'all. You get 6 months of breath work, 3 months of the program, and 6 full months of breath work. And that is going to support your continued embodiment of these things that you are learning and to help you continue with confidence and with courage and stepping into your power and your joy along the way. And you're going to get some badass Reiki with Amanda. So I don't know if she calls her Reiki badass. I do. It's so good. So have a listen to this beautiful coaching call. Amanda is a self-care coach who is out to really help people to care for themselves in the beautiful way that only they can. I'm so excited. Hello, everybody, to welcome the beautiful Amanda onto a Facebook Live so that we can chat a little bit. First of all, because she's amazing and I love to chat with her anytime. But also, we've been coaching together for the past however many months, 4 months, 6 months, lots of 5 months,
maybe 5 months.
Numbers are hard.
Right.
And she's had amazing growth, amazing alignment, just some really cool shifts happening in her life. And I was like, hey, do you want to come talk about this a little bit? And you're like, yes. So here we are calling this a unicorn frolic. We're frolicking in the meadow together to celebrate your amazing growth that you have had over the past few months. So hi.
Hi.
Amanda, would you be willing to share with everybody what you do and why we came to know each other?
So what's really funny is there's this little piece of me right now that's like, actually, just kidding. I don't want to share a damn thing.
That's so normal.
That's just like the goofy child in me that wants to just make a joke out of everything. So I am a self-care advocate, empowerment coach, and a Reiki master. And those are things in all seriousness. But I am also a giant child and I like to be goofy. And I like to incorporate that into my work because I think that everything should be a good time and we should be here to have fun. And I know we have talked about that on a lot of our coaching calls, that joy is a strategy and how can you make things more fun. But more about myself, I have struggled in my life with multiple eating disorders. I have anxiety and depression. And I used to think that I was broken and that I needed to fix those things before I could step into being a human. And a few years ago, I realized that I get to just live with them and I get to make peace with them and have them be parts of myself, but not define myself. And my self-care journey has been one of necessity because when I started coaching, I was pouring so much of myself into other people that I completely neglected myself and my own care. And it showed. I was kind of a train wreck. Not even kind of, I was just a train wreck. It was
a
really
beautiful
hard.
train wreck.
I was back on the very familiar path to burnout, which I have dealt with burnout a couple of times in my life. And it's no fun. It takes literal years to recover from, where I always like to say a life-saving self-care practice can be done in a couple minutes a day. Is really what it boils down to. It might be things that you're already doing, but maybe doing them in a different way, or shifting your perspective on the things that you're doing. It's about prioritizing yourself first and trusting that if you take care of yourself first, everyone else will also get taken care of, instead of trying to put everybody else first and thinking that, yeah, if I have time, I might take care of myself later, because that never really pans out for us. It never works out the way we think it's going to. So I shifted fully into self-care at the beginning of this year. And that's actually why we started working together, because I needed a coach to kind of get me through the transition and figure out what the hell I was doing with my business that was still young. It was already a young business. I'd only been a coach for about a year and a half. And now I was completely rebranding and pivoting away from the health coaching into self-care. So I was floundering around a bit. And it's just been amazing to step into such alignment this year, and to know that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be helping people with, because it's an ongoing story in my life, and making sure that I am completely taken care of so that I can show up for other people. And even today, I had planned on showering and doing my hair so that I would look more presentable for this live. And then
beautiful.
And then I thought, you know what? That's not how I show up for coaching calls. I tell everybody, show up for coaching calls exactly as you are. You don't have to be any sort of way. If you're in pajamas with a messy bun on top of your head, like, join the club. And so then I decided, no, it's 1,000,000 degrees here. I have stuff that I need to accomplish today, and I wanted to get that done. And I had some momentum from this morning. So why stop that and make myself look some kind of way when that's not how I normally look?
I absolutely love this about you. And that's the permission that so many people in this world need, is the permission to just show up as themselves, exactly as they are. And maybe that version feels really good today, getting dressed up. And maybe you feel good today, not taking the shirt and just like being like, this is who I am. This is like what it is today. It's giving ourselves that freedom to show up in whatever way is feeling good to us today. Would you agree with that, with what you believe in self-care?
Absolutely. So showing up at 100% is not the same from day to day. And honestly, you don't even have to show up at 100%. If you've got 70% and that's the best you can do that day, then that's your 100, right? So today, I just didn't want to, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that I wanted to get myself all done up for this. If I had wanted to, sure, great, then that's awesome. If we have plans for dinner tonight, my husband and I are going out with a friend, and I might get ready for that, because I'm going out and I don't go out that often. And I spend a lot of time working with horses. And so I'm usually dirty and stinky, and sometimes it feels really nice to clean up. And other times it doesn't. Other times I just don't want to. And so I honor myself and I honor my body and what it's feeling in that moment. And a lot of times what it feels like is hiking pants and t-shirts.
And that's perfect. It's great just as it is. One thing that, he disappeared now, but one thing that Amanda didn't say about herself is that she is a dog mom, and her dogs are the cutest, and such a blessing to have on a coaching call. Because there was one coaching call, my favorite call ever, where she wore, which dog is this? The beautiful little white dog? Odie yeah, on her back while it was amazing. So here's something that I just think is so cool. You have a huge mission. You keep continuing to step into that mission. You're growing and you're expanding, and you're a coach yourself. And you have the awareness to know those moments when it's like, I could use some support. I could use some help. So for you, when you said yes to joining my coaching program, how did you know? How were you like, this is something that I know that I need? Like, what was it about it? What was that? What were the signs for yourself that you needed it? And why did you say yes? Anything specific?
So before we get into why I chose you specifically, just in general, I know myself well enough, and I know this work well enough to know that we have our own answers. And I was not finding my own answers. I wasn't I wasn't getting as many downloads as I normally do when I'm open to the answers from the universe. And I wasn't really feeling the clarity of direction that I have in the past. And I knew I needed to work with a coach because it had been a little while. And I was kind of at a crossroads, like I said, with my business, with rebranding and everything. I wasn't really sure which direction to go and how fast to run there, or if I should just kind of take my time. In the past, I have not been good at playing the long game. I want the results yesterday, and I think everybody can relate to that. And I knew that I just needed somebody to kind of give me that new perspective and look at it from a different set of eyes. For you specifically, I've been listening to your podcast for a really long time. I think I've told you that I kind of binge listened while I was braiding last summer because I found it. And then I was like, oh, I'll just play this in my ears for 12 hours while I'm working with horses, and gives me something to do to pass the time. And I resonated with so much of what you said. And I feel like we have a lot in common. And I feel like we have a lot of the same views on things. And so I like the language that you use and how you specifically talk about changing the language for things that don't work for you. So I can't think of your examples off the top of my head, but I know there have been times where you're like, I don't use this word, I use this instead. And I have done that with several things in my life where I think that this isn't how I resonate with this concept. So let me think about it in a different way. And so there's just a lot of things that kind of pointed me in your direction. I happened to catch up to date on the podcast right around the time when you were launching this program. And I figured that was the sign I needed from the universe to jump in.
Yeah. For anybody who's listening, one in particular is that I don't love the word habit. I use the word sprinkle to myself. Like I'm going to place my sprinkles where I want to, not I'm going to start getting good habits. There's something about that word that feels really negative to me. You also now don't look like you're in the, what do you call it? Where you're like, it's not your face. You're, you're like disguised so much better.
Speaking of my dogs, one of them decided to lay in the window and he took half the curtain with him. So he was laying on the curtain covering the window. So now I'm holding it in my hand.
Well, now we can see your beautiful face and hear your beautiful story.
Oh my goodness. This is real life, people.
This is real life. Yeah. So, okay. What has shifted for you? What has shifted for you since, some of our coaching and just in general, because a coach is here to support you and to help you as you work through things, and you're doing the work. Like you're being empowered. A coach is holding space for you, helping to reflect things back to you, helping you to see things. But what I just want to celebrate so much about you, that you have really grown so much in all of these different ways. So for yourself, what do you feel like has shifted in the past 5 months or so?
Oh my goodness. So much. So much has shifted. I know that I feel like I have a lot more clarity of what I'm doing with my business and where I want it to go. I think that my vision is a lot clearer for the future, where I kind of used to just, not that living in the moment is bad, but you also want to have a plan for the future, even if it's just the near future. And I didn't really have that before. I was just kind of winging it the whole time. And so now I feel like there's a better balance of living in the moment and also having a vision for what I want to see and what I want to happen in the future. And I think I have more confidence now. I had a lot of my struggles were around really asking other people for things, like whether it was asking them for money to sign up for a program or a workshop, being able to set that value for myself, because that's something I've struggled with for a long time. And then also trusting that they were going to show up for me, because that's something I've struggled with, as we discovered on a very interesting coaching call back in February, is something that's been a problem for me for 30 plus years. So just the fact that you helped me break through some of those walls that have been around for most of my life that I didn't even realize went back that far. And some of that was through breath work, which is another thing that I know you're going to be adding as part of this next cohort. And I'm so excited for everyone who gets to experience breath work with you, because it's transformational. And I've done breath work with a lot of people. And so I feel like I can confidently say that you are one of the best breathwork facilitators out there, because it's just a different experience than what I've had before. And I think just having somebody who will hold the space for you to kind of work through your own shit and not judge you and not immediately try to offer a solution. Because a lot of times if you talk enough, you figure it out on your own. And so and I'm not saying that you didn't do anything, because you did tons, but some of the best breakthroughs that I had were you just asking a question and then sitting back and letting me get there. And that's so important, because it's the accountability of having somebody on the other end of the line or on the screen with you that you don't have if you're just sitting at home trying to figure this stuff out on your own. You can get distracted. You can decide, this is too difficult, I don't want to. If you've got somebody there waiting for you to give them an answer, you're going to come up with an answer and you're going to talk through it and figure it out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You shared so many good and just really important things that also highlight what an amazing coach you are, first of all, because you recognize the importance of that, holding the space for someone else's transformation. It's really what it is. And asking the questions that sometimes we're not willing to ask ourselves, and we don't even know why, or we avoid the things. So there's a little bit of like putting the thumb on it and saying, okay, we're going to do this, right? Remember what you want to accomplish. And then also simply holding that really judgment-free space. And when you talk about breath work, I think that's my superpower with breath work, is judgment-free space and allowing us to meet ourselves. I'm so passionate about it. And I think it's the transformation that many of us need, is simply meeting ourselves, being okay with it. And we don't need to go into any details about what happened in February, that coaching call that we had, but we hold these subconscious programs that we don't know we have. And so often they do go back to a moment in childhood. Sometimes that moment is like, there's like big trauma there. And sometimes that requires, therapy. And I know you also have a therapist, like you have other people who work with you as well. And sometimes it's little stuff. Sometimes it's like these little itty bitty things that we didn't even know, and holding space for you to open the aperture and see what's here and just be like, oh, wait, what? that could potentially be affecting that. And then stepping it back just allows us so much more awareness in the moment of when that program might kind of trigger again, be like, oh, wait a second, I'm not trusting that people are going to show up for me. Oh, wait a second, I'm not trusting that people are going to give me money if I don't just like give all of myself, whatever that thing might be. Those things, if we don't uncover the root of it, or like start stepping back to the root of it, it's just going to keep happening without our awareness. And then we're like, why can't I move forward? It's like, well, there's something there.
And I just want to mention too, when we were on that particular call, I remember you asked the question of when was the first time you felt this way of the thing that we were talking about. And I was like, how the hell should I know? I have no idea. And then again, because I've been in this work long enough, I know that my brain is not going to give me the answer. And so I said, hold on, I'm going to close my eyes, take a couple deep breaths. I'm going to get into my body. And then I want you to ask me again. And you were like, great, sounds awesome. And I did. And I mean, how quickly did I have the answer for you when I got into my body? It was instant. And I've used that technique for other things since then. And there was another one of those super old blocks that was from when I was maybe 11 or 12, maybe 12 or 13 years old. Another one of those huge blocks that I had that we broke through together was because I was able to get out of my head and into my body and just let the answer kind of surface rather than going digging for it.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Yeah.
Like bobbing for apples. This just like pops into my head right now, but it is, if you're trying to like bob for apples, what's your actual success rate? But if you just let the apple come to the surface instead of trying to like fish around and move all the apples around, just let it surface.
Yeah. And then you can just gently pick it up. You don't have to like dunk your whole head in there and almost drown. So often we feel like we're just trying so hard and then we're drowning. That's a beautiful metaphor.
Thanks. I just made it up.
Well, you're very talented at this. You've always got some really rad metaphors that are coming up for you. Particularly, there was one with a lime a while back. What was that? It was so good.
Oh, it was a download that I had randomly during a meditation that was in a world full of lemons be a lime. And yes. I had no idea what it meant. And I reached out to you and I was like, here's a fun one.
Well, first of all, I love limes. I have a lime tattoo, and limes are in just so many amazing, so are lemons, I suppose, but I don't know. I love the whole metaphor is just, it's so good in so many ways. And you're always coming up with these and it's wonderful. I love that you brought up the getting into the body because we're always trying to figure it out, figure it out, figure it out. Our minds are beautiful things. Mindset work is a beautiful thing. And sometimes the answer is in the memory of our body because our bodies hold memory just as much as our brains, and actually more. Your body is much larger than your mind. And there are neurons in your heart that hold memory. We actually hold memory in our bodies. And when we give ourselves a moment to breathe and to settle in, and now you're experienced at this, so you can do it pretty quickly. Whereas others, it takes a little bit more work to get there. And I do teach that in my program. You know, let's get into our bodies, and doing breath work is such a beautiful way to get out of the mind and into the body so that we can find the answers, because so often the answer is in you. You found that answer right inside yourself when you just took that moment for yourself. And we can do that all the time. So I would encourage anybody listening, if you're struggling on something, if you're cycling on something, to do exactly what Amanda said. Take a couple of deep breaths and ask yourself a question. Do you remember what that question was? When was the first time I felt this?
It was about, I don't remember the exact question, but it was basically about people not showing up for me.
Yeah. So when was the first time I can remember people not showing up for me? So if yours was money, like when was the first time that I remember feeling receiving money being a bad thing? You know, if you have like a block on receiving, or when it's like love, when was the first time I could remember not fully receiving love or not getting the love that I wanted? Whatever that thing might be that feels like it's coming up for you, you could ask yourself that question, get quiet with it and feel it first, because actually the memory will come from the feeling. So,
and trust that it's going to come up, because the more you fight something, the harder, or the less successful you're going to be. I don't know how else to say that, but if you just allow it to come up and you trust that you're going to get the answer you need, then it's going to show up. But if you're digging around in your brain and feel like, I've got to find the answer, I've got to feel something, it's like, it's going to spook and run away. It's the horse person in me coming out. But when you were talking about how our body holds trauma, can I transition this into Reiki for a second?
Yes, that's where we were about to go. Yeah, perfect.
So I am a Reiki master, as I mentioned, and what Reiki is an energy healing practice, and it's an ancient Japanese practice. It's hundreds of years old, and it helps clear any negative, stagnant energy out of your body. So if you imagine a river that's flowing and the water is clean and clear and it's just moving right along, and then all of a sudden some beavers come along and build a dam, and now you have the water backs up, it gets stagnant, you get mosquitoes and algae and apparently cockroaches, which I learned recently are attracted to stagnant water, and that's gross. But it makes sense, Florida. So it's the same thing with the energy in our body. So if the energy isn't flowing through the 7 primary energy centers or chakras in our body, then you end up with this stagnant energy. It can cause physical ailments. It can cause mental health issues. It'll affect your social relationships. It'll affect your energy, the way you show up in the world and at work, literally everything. It'll give you mood swings. I mean, all sorts of crazy things that people, basically, if there's something going on that you can't put your finger on, it's probably an energy issue. And Reiki can really help clear out those blocks, get the energy flowing again so that you can function at your best and feel your best and show up as your most authentic self, which is really what we're all here for. So that's something that I love to help people with. I do distance sessions primarily, and I'm actually, for anybody in the Rhode Island area, I'm going to be doing in-person sessions starting next month.
So fun, which that has been a manifestation that's come about as you've moved along, just following your joy and taking 20 seconds of courage to reach out to somebody and ask if they would, be interested in you coming in and offering your services. I personally have received Amanda's Reiki. She is indeed a Reiki master. I had a block in my solar plexus area and like the stomach area. It was a courage, self-belief type of block. And she helped me to move that energy. It was beautiful. I'm so grateful to you. And that's why in my upcoming program, you're going to be coming in and offering Reiki to the people who are in the program. So lucky unicorns who are going to get to experience the beautiful gifts that Amanda has to offer. So thank you, Amanda. I'm so excited to have you come in and do that.
Oh my God, I'm so pumped. I can't wait to share energy in the space with all of these beautiful people. I would clap my hands, but I'm still holding my curtain.
I'll clap for you. We'll raise the roof over here. Okay. So if anybody is interested in learning more about my coaching, what I do, these kinds of things, I have 2 more days of my 3-day workshop, and you can come independently. You can come to the whole thing. You can come independently. You can sign up at genlist.com/unleash. If you're curious about my program itself, I'll put the link in the comments as well. That's genlist.com/made for more. You'll get to meet Amanda in person and experience her Reiki. Thank you so much, Amanda. Anything else you want to share before we hop off today?
Yeah, I just want to say, anybody who's considering this program, anybody who is on the fence, take a chance on yourself, because you have no idea what the future version of you is capable of. The version of you that walks out of this program is not the same person who walks in to any coaching program ever, really. But it's especially something where you're going to be doing breath work and Reiki and stuff like that. You are going to fundamentally change as a person. And so if you aren't sure that this current version of yourself can do it, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because the version of yourself that's going to be in the work, as long as you're putting the effort in and you're committed to yourself, you got this. You're going to do it, and you're going to be amazing. And you're going to walk out the other side and look in the mirror and go, who's that? Who's that person?
Amanda, you're such an amazing human. Where can people follow you if they're listening and they're like, I want to be connected to this rad person? She also braids horse manes. She's such a creative, just an artist. It's so beautiful. Okay. How can people follow you? Get inspired by you.
I'm on Facebook at Amanda L. Hallam. I'm on TikTok, same thing, at Amanda L. Hallam, or you can search Modern Self-Care. modernselfcare.us is my website. And I've got all sorts of offers going on all the time. You can join my email list and be the first to know about all of those. That's right through my website. And I'm on social media every single day. So you can find me on there and come say hello.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Everyone, have a beautiful day. Thanks for coming to this unicorn frolic. And we'll see you next time. Oh my gosh. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Amanda. Like, she is just so real, and she's always going to tell you exactly like it is. If you're not following her yet, go to the show notes and go follow her. You will love her. She's a TikToker. She posts videos all the time, and she just normalizes life for everyone. So just know you're absolutely going to love her. If you're interested in learning more about Made for More, the link is in the show notes as well. You can also just go to genlist.com/made for more. And if you would like a free call with me, a free 20-minute call where we will talk about where you're at, what you're coming up against, if my program is even something that could support you, I am so happy to offer that to you. So there's a link in the show notes for that too, but you can also just send me an email or send me a DM. You can send an email to hello@genlist.com, and I will get you set up for that free call. Now you just keep shining your magical unicorn light out there for all to see. I'll see you next time. Bye.